I'm dying to ask Robert a question. I've been saving it for tonight. So.
Oh, why would you do that?
You're pretty alive. Don't worry, it's not embarrassing or anything, but...
where's the fun in that?
Yeah. Having the pleasure of working on this project, Robert, I started thinking that one of the things that this book is about, in addition to really cool, awesome zombie fun and action, is the fact, and again, this is my perspective, that's why I want to hear your take on it, but I started thinking, we all have the Governor and Rick Grimes in us, and you know, depending on the breaks, you know, we all have the potential of turning into the Governor. Or hopefully, if we're lucky, turning into Rick Grimes. But it just depends, and it's all like a crapshoot. It's like an existential crapshoot. What your thoughts?
I agree.
Thank you. Moving on.
I mean, I like to think that that's not the case. I mean, if all of us have the potential to become someone like the Governor, like, that's a terrifying world to live in, right? Like, I don't want to do that. That's not cool. But you know, to a certain extent, I guess you're right. I mean, you know, just thinking about myself, I mean, you kind of have to acknowledge the temptations that you go through in life to not be the best person in the world. And at the end of the day, not stealing is sometimes harder than stealing, and it's like that with both things that are considered to be sort of rotten, right? Like, I don't know if I'm revealing myself to be secretly a bad person. I hope I'm not going out on it, you know? But no, I mean, it's definitely more difficult to be a good person than it is to be a bad person. You know, the bad stuff is always the cheating and the easy and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, you know, it is kind of, the potential is there, and that is something that we explored in the novel, I think, to a pretty large degree, and it is extremely terrifying, as it should be. I mean, that's really the basis of horror, is like what, you know, the nature of like humanity and what we do and what we're capable of. I mean, that's what The Walking Dead is all about.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, I assume many of you are real familiar with the comics, but when I first saw Penny in the comics, that's when I started thinking, you know, deep in the subtext of this, that, you know, the Governor is like a human being. He's not, you know, like Dr. Evil. There's a humanity to him, and that makes him scarier. And
yeah, I mean, that's really the basis of the novel, was to show that this, you know, larger-than-life villain whose humanity we got maybe a glimpse of in the comic book series, you know, was actually a decent person at one point, and you know, the living in this world and surviving in this world has, you know, changed him radically. But, you know, to a certain extent in the comic book, we do see that humanity is still there, but watching it be stripped away, you know, in the novel, I think, you know, makes the novel pretty cool. You know, that was kind of the thing that excited me the most about it, was like starting at one point at the very beginning of the novel with, you know, this nice guy, and ending up at the end of the novel with this guy that's, you know, the Governor.
Yeah.
Oh, what did I do? You know, because I'm right, like, I don't know, a head comes off, you know, like, whatever. And then I'll get this thing back, and there'll be just blood pouring out of this wound, and there's brains hanging out of a guy's eyeball socket or something, and you're just like, ooh, you know, I can't, ooh. You know, so it's really, like, tough for me to look at sometimes. And then, now that we're doing the TV show, like, you know, the thing I like most to do when I'm on set is go into Greg Nicotero and KMB's makeup trailers, and it's also the thing I hate the most, because I always kind of want to see what they're doing, but once I get in there, I'm like, man, it's a dead body, you know, like, it just looks like a dead body sitting there, like, it looks real, and you can touch it and stick your hand inside the rib cage and touch like a fake heart. It's just disgusting, and, you know, seeing it all come together on the TV show is that much worse, because it's like sound, and it's just all liquidy and nasty, and it's really hard to handle. And then working on this novel has taken it to an even bigger level, because the way that you went in there and described all the different things that were going on, like, it just never even occurred to me that you could do that with words, you know, just to pay you a compliment. Like, it's just, it's just that much more graphic and that much more intense. And it's like, I don't know what media we're going to go to next that's going to bring it up to another level, but it's really disconcerting. It really is.
Yeah, thank you.
There's some nasty stuff in this book.
There is. I urge all of you to check it out.
How are you in the casting of characters, the actors who play the characters, because they've been just top-notch. And it seems like there's certain things that are kind of deviated from the graphic novels, but not really. So I think things that kind of like be more involved. Will we see more of that kind of like, for example, like...
This is already 2 questions.
Sorry. Are we seeing that for like the rest of the season? What do we have in store for the rest of the season, for the new season, basically?
Well, I'm somewhat involved in casting. I mean, I'm always looking over the actors' auditions and, you know, pointing out who I like and stuff like that. But please don't send me your audition tapes because I have nothing to do with the actual casting on the show. But I mean, we got a good bunch of new people coming in for the 2nd season. We've got Lauren Cohen and Scott Wilson and Pruitt Taylor Fence coming in to play Herschel, Maggie, and Otis. And you know, we're always going to be bringing new characters into the television show because we're constantly going to be killing characters on the television show. If you've read the comic, that's not a spoiler. So you know, people die. It's the zombie apocalypse. It happens. So yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll continue to cast good people. Who knows? We'll do our best.
We've got one question in the back and then a couple up front, and then we're going to go to the signing.
Okay.
Oh, thanks for coming. It's an honor and privilege. When you finalize the name The Walking Dead, what are the names that you think about before those?
Yeah, honestly, The Walking Dead was pretty much the first name I came up with. It was originally going to be a Night of the Living Dead comic because I had heard that Night of the Living Dead was in public domain, and so I was like, that's a recognizable name. People will like that. And the publisher of Image Comics, Jim Valentino, who's vastly more intelligent than I am, said, why would you do that? If they wanted to turn this into a movie or a TV show, you could never do a movie or a TV show called Night of the Living Dead, so you should come up with an original title because it's an original concept otherwise. And so I came up with The Walking Dead.
Wow. Did he get a bonus?
Nope. Not at all.
Good.
I don't even think I thank him.
Hi. I was wondering if you have any idea why it is that zombies have become popular in the past like 3 to 5 years more than any other previous times?
Because they're awesome, mostly. I mean, I don't know. I think that zombie stories are unique among other monster stories just because when you're doing a werewolf or a vampire story, it's kind of about a werewolf or a vampire. It's about a guy that gets bitten by a werewolf and turns into a werewolf, or a guy that's like turned into a vampire and he's like, oh, I'm turning into a vampire, what am I doing? And those stories end up being largely like unrelatable to the audience. So it kind of limits the appeal. And then in comparison, a zombie story, you know, zombies are an unrelenting force of nature to a certain extent, and so you can never really do a story that's about the zombies, and so you have to do a story that's about people surviving and, you know, getting by and protecting their loved ones, and those are all universal themes that I think appeal to everyone, and, you know, anyone can relate to losing a loved one and really missing them, or, you know, worrying about how you're going to be able to protect your children. You know, that's something that everyone goes through, and when you have to deal with getting attacked by zombies on top of that, it just makes for a really cool story. So I think that's it.
Yeah, and I'll add my annoying graduate student footnote that I think that was very well said, and the only thing I have to add is, like, I think they resonate today more than ever. Like, they're, you know, your mortgage being underwater or something, because it's, no matter what happens every time you wake up, there it is.
Yeah.
It's underwater. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't sell. You can't move. So you're stuck in your house, and you got to board the windows up eventually. You know, and so it resonates. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I like to say that you know, because of the economic crisis and everything that's going on in the world, you do kind of get an odd sense of like fun from like watching a television show or reading a comic or reading a novel about people that are in a worse situation than you. So you can be like, well, I might not be able to pay my bills this month, but at least I'm not getting chased by zombies.